I see you, Adam. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I know it's late there.
So,
It's like midnight, right?
It's midnight. Yeah, it's the perfect time for a podcast.
That's awesome.
Are you based in New York?
San Diego. It was California, like LA.
San Diego, California.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Are you in Greece or are you in London?
I was in London. I was ready to fly to Texas for South by Southwest, and last minute it got cancelled, as you know, and
Sure.
I left immediately to go to Athens because that's where my family is, and I was thinking there's gonna be a lockdown, so I left.
Yeah,
quickly.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw you were on like Shaky Knees and like a couple other festivals that unfortunately are postponed, right?
Yeah.
That Shaky Knees lineup is awesome. That will be so cool to play that.
It is. I agree.
Yeah, Black Keys and
Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands of all time.
Are they really? Smashing Pumpkins are?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, did you grow up? You grew up in Greece.
I was born in London.
Oh, you were born in London. Okay.
Yeah, I was born in London. Yeah, but I moved to Greece like when I was 1 year old.
Oh, so you're very small. Okay.
And then I went back to London a few years ago.
Tell me about growing up in Athens.
Athens I love Athens. First of all, you understand this from my name.
Sure, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, you have some pride there.
It's a very special city. I love the weather. I love the people. The history, of course, and it has a very interesting underground scene, art scene, and music scene. The weather is very similar to San Diego, by the way.
Oh, really? Like warm and not too much.
I'd say maybe a little bit closer to LA. Okay. It's very similar to LA. It's like identical. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's really good. Yeah, I mean, people move here for the weather.
Yeah, and when you get used to this weather, it's difficult to change. So when I moved to London, it was raining all the time. It was very different.
Really?
Mood.
I didn't know that it rains it rains a lot there in London.
Yeah. All the time. Yeah.
I was wondering how you got into music originally. Were your parents into music? Did they play at all?
My mom is a dancer, so
wow.
In the arts, in the art world, since I was a child. And my dad was he loved music, and we grew up listening to lots of music. Myself and my brother, and very good music, I'd say. Beatles, Rolling Stones, Doors, all the good stuff.
Is your brother you said you had a brother? Is he into music as well, or does he play?
No. Completely different field, and he's based in America, by the way.
Oh wow!
What part? Based in Virginia. Yeah.
Okay, East Coast, right on. Nice. Do you come out and see him very often, exactly. or not really?
Yeah. And we tour a lot in the US. Actually, we played in San Diego. We played with City of the Sun, a band called City of the Sun from New York, and we did a West Coast tour, and we also played in San Diego. I can't remember the venue, but yeah.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Yeah. So you got into music by listening to the early classic rock, Beatles, Stones, Doors, and all that stuff. What was the first instrument you picked up?
The first instrument was piano, but then I switched to classical guitar.
Oh, okay. Do you still play piano?
Not really.
Okay.
I play like the basics that I need to record some synthesizers, some bass lines, synth bass lines. but my main instrument is the guitar.
Oh, okay. So you picked up classical guitar, like finger picking and,
Yeah.
and that whole thing. Wow. Yeah, that's one thing.
Exactly.
I mean, I can hammer out some power chords and stuff, but that finger picking and all that was just way too advanced for me.
Yeah. But that's all you need for
sure.
pop and rock.
Right. So you picked up classical guitar. Were you trained, or was it all just on your own?
Yeah, I was trained. I was classically trained for a number of years. But it was great, and I love classical guitar and classical music. Classical guitar, the classical music was very helpful, in understanding music. But yeah, I don't listen to classical music anymore a lot.
Yeah. Did you play in like talent shows or do recitals? Like, what was the first experience you had playing in front of people aside from at your house or friends?
Yeah, I did these recitals that the exams were, to go to the next level, you had to play in a class with like 20 people, and it was like my hand was sweating. I was like, it was terrible, really terrible.
Yeah. Probably got you ready for, what you're doing now as far as playing in front of crowds of thousands of people.
It's much better, trust me. It's much better. And obviously it's a different kind of music, but bigger crowds are, in my opinion, bigger crowds are easier.
Really? Why do you think that is?
Rooms.
Just because you could, if you screw up on note or something, it's just not as obvious, or what do you think?
No, not really, because it's in small rooms. Your inner world is really exposed, and that's a great thing. But it needs a lot of work.
Sure, yeah. Did you play in bands and stuff when you were learning classical guitar?
Yeah.
So what was your first band, and how old were you when you started it?
I started when I was 14, and I was always playing music in school. I was not a great student. I was writing lyrics, writing songs.
Oh, wow.
And
how old were you when you started doing that? 14?
14, yeah, 14. But with our first shows, we started our first shows when I was 16.
Okay.
From 14, I started writing songs, basically. It was the first time I started writing songs, yeah.
So with this band, you guys, how long were you said you played like when you're 16, so you're a band or at least 2 years. How long did that band go on for?
For two more years after school, and the guys are my best friends, so we're still friends.
That's cool.
Afterwards, I started doing my own stuff.
Okay. And would you just play? Was there a lot of venues to play in Athens?
Yeah. We mostly played in school festivals and open air festivals, but we also played in venues. And our sound was inspired by an American, or I think they're American, not Canadian, a band called Propagandy.
Oh, Propagandy, like, yeah. They're actually they're from Canada.
They're from Canada. Okay.
Yeah, they are from Canada, but all of their songs are really about pretty much political songs about America, which is funny. But yeah, they're a Canadian band, but they are signed to Fat Records from San Francisco. So that's cool. You sounded like Propagandy. Exactly, how did you get into Propagandy? That's kind of pretty much the polar opposite of what a classical guitarist would play, I would think.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
Were you a fan of punk and stuff?
Back then, yes, even more like emo punk stuff, like AFI.
Okay, yeah.
AFI.
Yeah, AFI. I love AFI. Another Bay Area band.
we were in and but also, we loved Radiohead, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Joy Division.
Cool. Yeah, I love all those bands as well. And so but you had more of a punk rock, like propaganda sound, you said?
Yeah.
Cool. And you'd play was that
guitar driven?
Yeah. Was it you guys are just playing locally in Athens at that point?
Yeah, we were playing locally. Yeah. And then after this, I started doing my own stuff, which was completely different. It was more kind of like Sufjan Stevens meets Beirut.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
in the beginning.
I can still kind of hear that now a little bit. The Sufjan Stevens stuff a little bit in your song.
Oh yeah, I think he's one of the greatest songwriters of our generation.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's a great songwriter. Yeah.
So
this last album that he wrote for his mother, Carrie and Lowell, is like a diamond. It's an amazing album.
Yeah. So you started. So when that band dissolved? Was it just kids going to school? Like your buddies went to school, university, or something? Like when the band disbanded, and then you started your own stuff. What was there a reason behind that, or you're just creatively wanted to try something new?
We all left for different places, different parts of the world, and I was always writing songs. I was the songwriter of the band, and I continued with a different sound.
Yeah,
and then after this, I went to. No, I'm constantly changing my sound.
So when you first started your solo stuff, how did that? What was the first move for you? Did you have contacts with people? Were you playing out? Like, what did you do first? Did you record stuff?
I was recording and I was playing shows. I also had a band with many people. It was like a collective. We were 9. Actually, myself and 8 more people.
Wow, a 9-piece band. Wow, that's big.
Yeah, 9-piece band. And all friends, all from Athens, and it was like a collective with brass. And I was signed to a Greek indie label called Archangel. And after this, I decided to make the move and go to London.
Okay, so you got signed to that label, the indie label, when you started putting out stuff with Leon of Athens.
Yeah, as Leon in the beginning, just Leon.
And just then, Leon in the beginning. Okay, and that was with the 9-piece. Was that with the 9-piece band?
Exactly. Yeah.
And how did you
actually? I recorded this first the record, the first record. They sent us to not Go, but before that, it's a record called Food True, which is it's not under the Leon of Athens name.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Under a different name. And we went to Brooklyn and we worked with a producer named Josh Clark, who had produced the first Beirut record.
Wow.
And then, yeah. And then I went back to Athens, and then I made the move to London. And actually, there was a crucial moment where a reporter of the New York Times was in Athens, and he was writing an article about the situation in Greece. And he happened to we had a sound check in a big, in a big outdoor space in Athens Central. So the public was just walking there, and he was there, and he listened to the lyrics of a song of mine, and he wrote an article about the situation in Athens, Greece, and he included the song the lyrics, and
wow,
it was really one of these moments that are very special, and that was one of the reasons that I decided to leave and go to London afterwards.
Oh, really? From that article that was put out, and they put it out in the New York Times, or they put it out in Greece?
In the New York Times.
Wow.
In the New York Times, yeah.
That's incredible.
It's an article called Postcards from Athens, I think it's called.
Wow. What year was that? Do you remember?
Later. It was 2013, I think.
Wow. Okay. That's incredible. And this is when you had the 9-piece band together and everything, or is this
exactly
after?
Yeah, that was then. Yeah.
Okay. So with this 9-piece, you took all 9 of you guys came out to New York and recorded that record?
No. Actually, it was myself and 2 more people.
Okay. Was it mainly just, were you writing all the pieces and then all the other 8 people were just kind of, players in the band? Was that kind of how you had it set up?
It was a collective work. I was the songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
I was writing the lyrics and the main melodies, and then we did the instrumentations all together, and people were also writing their own parts.
Oh, okay. Very cool. And that's the band that got signed to the indie label?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then from there, you decided you moved to London. Was that band still together, or was it kind of like you wanted to break off on your own, and that's how you started Leon of Athens?
Yeah. After this, I have to be absolutely honest about this. The music industry, I was very romantic, and I wasn't thinking of the practical aspect of the music industry. A 9-piece band doesn't tour very easily.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of money,
Yeah, I can imagine. And carting 9 people around it's not cheap.
It was just not possible. We couldn't continue. And obviously the fact that I moved to London and was working there on new material, so I decided to create a new name, let's say Leon of Athens, and record new material and from a new band, which is now a 3-piece band.
Okay. So now it's just 3 pieces, and then so when you started that band, that's when you put out Global. That was your first record as Leon of Athens.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So you get to London, and how did you find the 2 other people that you jam with, and how did you kind of get yourself, like, how did you get your name out there in London?
So I had many friends in London, and when we went there and played, we played 2 shows, and we had a really good attendance in the shows. So I had interest from a UK based management company.
Okay.
And I started working with them immediately when I moved there, and and then the first album after moving to London by the name Leon of Athens is Global.
Okay, so you moved to London, and then that's when you formed Leon of Athens, and you put out Global. So because you played the shows there already. You said you already had interest as far as management interest, and then so you form your band. And how did Global come together? Did you already have all those songs and you just kind of taught them to the new people, or how did that happen?
So the story is the following. I had all the songs ready and finished, and we decided that we're going to work with a producer called Tony Dugan. He's the producer of Bell and Sebastian. I don't know if you've heard this.
Oh
band.
yeah, Bell and Sebastian. Yeah.
But yeah, exactly, from Glasgow, and Tony works with a band called Winter Sleep from Canada.
Okay, I haven't heard.
Really
them.
nice.
Okay.
Indie rock band, amazing, and he's also really good friends with Dave Friedman, who did the producer, the MGMT stuff, Tame Impala, etc.
Yeah.
So we went to Dave's studio in Buffalo, New York.
Wow.
And we recorded Global there, and the people who played in Global were Winter Sleep, the guitarist and the drummer from Winter Sleep, and one of my best friends who was playing the bass. Who happened to be one of the people of the school band when I started. He was living in London, and yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool. So
Yeah.
you're able to grab him and bring him to New York and record. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he must have been pretty stoked about that, huh?
Oh, he was very much. Yeah.
Okay, so you go out there, you record Global. Was that put out on a record label?
Yeah. This was afterwards. I forgot to mention that I was signed to EMI Universal in Greece.
And that was
also.
That was with which band? With Leon of Athens? That's when you got, or that was the previous band?
Yeah, Leon of Athens.
And how did you get approached by Universal? How did that work?
I don't know. They always they know their way.
Right,
you know,
right. I didn't know if you happened to run into somebody, and if it was one of those situations where you happened to have a demo on you, or you were mailing them out to people, or how that worked out.
Oh, I definitely had. I was I've been always mailing my stuff and
to different record labels and stuff.
To different record labels, yeah. And and I was very lucky to work with specific A&R in the company.
So that label brought you out to New York, and that's how you kind of set all that up with those producers and stuff.
Kind of.
Okay.
It's a complicated story, but yes, more or less.
Were you able to choose the producers you worked with? Did you kind of have like a wish list? How did you decide on who you worked with on that first Global record?
Tony was one of the people that I liked. I also was it back then. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, actually, I also had a meeting with top of my list was John Concleton, who's done St. Vincent and many records. Based in Dallas. Great producer. And Tony was also one of the people that I wanted to work with. And and finally we did the record with Tony.
Okay.
And it was amazing.
So you put that album out, and then did you tour at that point as a 3-piece, or what were you doing as far as the shows went?
We toured as a 4-piece actually back then. Mm-hmm. And at times we were a 5-piece as well. The 3-piece was after this record. It's the last 2 years. When we started touring the US and playing in the US, which I can tell you the story also how this happened.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. Because you put out another record, Xenos, right? That one was like a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, so I always wanted to play at South by Southwest, and was applying many times and many rejections. And in 2018, they invited me to play there, and that's how I met my manager.
Oh, well, at South by Southwest?
Yeah, not there. Before this, we started talking, and since then, Eva is really amazing. The whole U.S. chapter opened after this. After I met Eva.
Okay. And that was all before Xenos came out?
No, that was
around
right
the same
after.
time. Oh, right after.
Yeah, around
okay.
the same time. Yeah.
Okay,
right
so from 2015 to 2018, were you just playing, like when you put out between Global and Xenos, were you only playing in Europe, or were you coming out this way?
Only playing in Europe. No, only playing in Europe.
Okay. And how
my
were those?
First show was my first show was at Okeechobee in America before South by Southwest. South by Southwest and Okeechobee, these two festivals were my first US.
Oh, okay. First US shows were two festivals, huh?
Yeah, two festivals in the South.
Oh, wow. How was that? was that a coming to America to play for the first time like that? Was that a shocking experience? How, like, was that tell me about coming here for the first time.
First of all, it wasn't my first time in America because
you had recorded here, right?
And also my father was Greek American, so we always had a bond, and we were traveling in the U.S.
Oh, really?
We were kids.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was my first experience in the South, and we did all the whole thing. We did from Florida to Texas driving.
Oh, man.
And that was a very, very, very unique experience.
Was it just
it was like,
yeah, what made it unique? It was just different, totally different than what you're used to.
It was very different. It was very cinematic, I would say. These these roads, straight roads, miles and miles of and
like no mountains and stuff like that either, huh? It's just flat, right? For the most part down there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly flat. And like advertisements that I've never seen in my life before in Europe, like anti-abortion, guns, things that I don't want to judge, but I hadn't seen them before in my life.
Right. Yeah. It was just
the
different.
First time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you put out Xenos in 2018. Where'd you record that record, and was that different? Like how did you go into that album? Was it different than the Global record?
It was very different. Yeah, it was very different. I did it in London with a producer named David Kosten. Mm-hmm. He's known for indie rock band called Everything, and he has also done the.
I know those guys. Right? I don't.
Oh, you know them.
I've met them before actually, and they came out here to San Diego, and they did like a studio session with my buddy, and
really?
I got a chance to meet them, and they had that record out with like the guy's hand on it going over his face. You know what I'm talking about?
That's a great record.
Wait, hang on real quick. I want to show it to you. 1 second.
Yeah. Please.
This one.
Oh, okay. So this one is. I think this is the last one. Do you remember when?
When they did it a couple years ago. It had to be a couple years ago.
But maybe 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, they signed it for me and stuff. We got to watch them play.
Amazing.
They did a cool.
Yeah, they're a great band. I really like them.
I had never heard of them. My buddy was way into them, and they had a song out. I want to look at it now real quick. Oh, Distant Past. I heard that song and I was like, whoa, like this band is incredible. And they happened to be coming through. My friend booked them to do like a couple acoustic songs. So yeah. So you had their producer.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And I love that. I haven't heard. It's funny. I haven't heard that name in a couple of years, so that's really cool.
I hear this song distant past. I hear it all the time because I'm playing the FIFA, the football.
Oh, FIFA
the
soccer game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It is
yeah.
in there. Yeah, they always get really good artists in those sports games. It's interesting how that works. Cool. So you worked with their producer, and you said you went into this album totally different than Global.
Yeah, it was a totally different experience in the sense that we worked alone. We didn't work with a band. We worked, just him and myself, and then we had some people record the drums and bass. But we did a lot of work in the studio, recording synths. I'd say that if I was to describe the difference between the two albums, I'd say that Global was more rock in the sense of a live rock band, and this one was more in the pop world, I would say.
Okay. And then now you just released another song called Communication. That's the most recent stuff you're doing now, correct?
Yeah, Communication is the most recent, and it was released a few weeks ago. We wrote the song with David Kosten and Katarina Daska, and she's also featuring.
Yeah, she features on the track, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And have you worked with her before? How did you link up?
Yeah, we've written a couple of songs together. A song called "Better Love," which is her song. We also did a duet, a Greek song called "Anemos," which means wind.
Oh, interesting.
And now Communication, and it's Katarina and David Kosten.
Okay.
The writers, myself, Katarina, David Kosten. And we also have a remix coming up that Portugal the Man did for Communication.
Really?
Which is and it's so beautiful and so interesting. It's nothing like what I expected. I expected a beat or something, and it's a stripped down version, like very, focusing on the lyrics of the song.
Wow, that's cool.
It was really an amazing gift, and I want to thank them very much. I met them for the first time at Firefly Festival.
I was going to ask, so that's how you met them at Firefly? That's how you made the initial contact with those guys?
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, they're amazing artists and amazing people.
Yeah. How did you get them? Did they just decide to remix it and send it to you and say, "Hey, we made this"? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, they're friends with my manager.
Okay.
Longtime friends. They know each other for many years, and they liked the song, and they put the time and the effort. And I'm really, I feel really lucky that we had this, because they're very, very busy, as you can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
They were also touring with Bernie Sanders.
Oh yeah,
around the
that,
US.
Huh? Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, they had the biggest song in the world a couple years ago.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
Feel It Still was that was a massive hit across every platform, pretty much.
Yeah. It's like so cool. Like it was bigger than Justin Bieber and everything.
Yeah,
it was number one ever.
It was the biggest song ever, which and they deserve it. I mean, they had like 5 albums out prior to that record, and
absolutely,
they did catch the wave there, which is great for them, and they well deserved. So
it's really nice to see like artists of this like quality, as people as well, doing well and having the appeal they have.
Totally. Yeah, I completely agree. So communication is out. Do you have a record in your back pocket? Like, what are you gonna do with the new tracks?
It's gonna be part of an EP that I'm making now.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know when it's going to be released yet, but I would guess it's going to be the fall of 2020.
Okay. So
everything has moved. Out. You know, the whole plan has changed a little bit.
Totally, you know? Yeah. I mean, yeah, no one was expecting this, so.
You know, it's so funny. We've imagined all the craziest possible things. Mm-hmm. You know. But personally, I've never imagined this.
I know. Yeah, it would have never in a million years ever have thought that it would get this to where it is now. Wild. But I did see that you've been doing some of those live sessions, like from home, like living room session type things. And you had one. Yeah. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, it was yesterday. I'm going to do more. I'm going to be doing this all the time now. The only problem is that I left my pedal board with all my pedals in London, and my SPDS, the pad. But I have a couple of things here.
Very cool.
I think it's so nice, you know. It makes people happy, and this is what we need to be doing now as artists.
Yeah, totally. This whole thing is pretty wild. Do you have any advice for aspiring artists? It's kind of our last question, and you want to talk about anything else?
I think this question is. I don't want to be the person who tells other people, you know, what to do or what's the way to do it, because it's every person. Let me say this: that every person has their own, like, very, very, very unique story. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I can say is that, you know, there's no such thing as failure. You just keep trying. And the music industry, at least for me, has been like 99% no's and 1% yes, you know.
Yeah.